Hello and welcome to the PBC Hoops RMF podcast. This week we are discussing the regional championships. Basically, the state tournament series now starts this week after last week's district tournaments. And I'm here with once again with John Camille Dubison, aka Doobie of RMF Magazine. Doobie, how you doing today?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Good, man. We're just, like I said, yesterday was kind of a busy day. A lot of people were kind of waiting for those seedings to come out to see if they made it. You know, a few teams who were quote unquote on the bubble and weren't sure when they were going to come out. And, when they did, it was just kind of scrambling to see who made it, who didn't. But it was an interesting time. And I think we talked about it a little bit offline. Some teams maybe didn't get in, and I guess there's you can't really make an argument because everyone kind of should have known what the criteria was or what the details were. But either way, it was interesting, and a few teams got in, a few teams didn't. So what were your thoughts on this whole week that just passed?
Thoughts were, well, first of all, I had myself a tough district championship game. We lost to Matter Lakes Academy, so want to shout out Eric Rodriguez and Matter Lakes for taking care of their business and not letting us upset them to make it to the state playoffs. But now, again, like you said, man, people are kind of learning and understanding how this max prep things work, because I've gotten a lot of text messages and voice calls throughout the last couple of days, kind of, hey, you might have an outside shot or this, that, and the third. But, again, like I said before, Alex, I just wish that max preps in the state of Florida could have did a better job of actually getting everybody together per region and explaining this, instead of kind of having it. I think they have it like on their page if you want to find out about the rankings, but it basically honestly talks about football more than it talks about anything else. So I guess When you listening to it from the football perspective and everything else, you're supposed to be able to formulate it as well as basketball and everything else. But again, I think the system is a good system because you're rewarding people for their regular season and actually scheduling a tough schedule. But you're also penalizing that team that makes that historical run who might have got things together towards the end of the year, where they didn't figure things out earlier in the year, like myself. And those kids finally started clicking towards the end, and then boom, you're in a district championship game where nobody thought you had a chance to make it. You know what I mean?
Right. And that's a fair argument too, because obviously you want the teams playing best at the end of the year, and you said sometimes it just works that way. That hey, you guys, the team can start clicking towards the end, and it's a tough pill to swallow when you get all the way there, and then you sometimes you may think you have a shot, sometimes you don't. So yeah, I agree with that. There's both sides to the coin.
Right. Again, it's will always be an argument when it comes to things like this, because some people are going to say it's unfair. Some people are going to not say it's fair. And honestly, for me, this is my first year in it, because traditionally in the past, when I was coaching high school basketball, as long as you made it to the district championship, win or lose, you were in the state playoffs. You had to travel as the loser. But now with this being not done this way, like you take a game like the Calvary-Christian and North Broward Prep game, which came down to a final play where, you have the 1 and 2 seeds in the class battling each other. And unfortunately, that whoever loses is going to automatically be the 5th seed, which sucks for anybody who's in the top, who's number 4, who won their district. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
yeah, that's a nice present for you.
Right. Yeah. Here goes the nice present. Yeah, you're going to play the number 2 team in the state as well, because you won. You know what I mean?
Right. No, that's fair.
Fair. Again, that's an argument that could be had too. So
again, no, definitely. Like I said, it's not perfect, but I mean, I think at least there's some progress, and hopefully there's going to be some open dialogue. Like you said, hopefully they can open it up and maybe take some suggestions. I'm not sure how well they do that, but maybe they can work. Try to get some dialogue and see maybe there's ways to tweak it, right?
Yeah, there's always going to be ways in any system. In any system that you have, nobody's ever going to be happy. But there are ways of making things better and understanding things on a validity of everything else. Because again, you take your smaller schools who can't play a certain kind of schedule and have to stick with a certain kind of schedule. You also penalizing those teams who can't travel or play those big time games to get those rankings up. So, you know, again, it's going to take some time. People are going to have to learn how to grow with it a little bit. And, you know, at the end of the day, hey, you got to win.
That's it. Like usually if you're winning, it should take care of itself. So
correct.
Okay, good, man. So what we're going to do, we're going to jump into the brackets, and when we jump into the brackets, we'll kind of talk about, you know, if there was any surprises in that region or district, so that way we'll kind of keep it all together. You know, so that way we'll go through them, and then if we see of anything like we thought maybe was a surprise last week, we kind of jump on it. So last week we went from big schools to small schools. This week we're going to go start in the small school side, and we're going to start in 2A Region 2. Sagemont, which was expected, is the number 1 seed. They have Atlantic Christian, who got the number 8 seed. Atlantic Christian lost to Morningside Academy 50-47. It was a very close game, and they squeeze in and get the 8 seed. But like you said, their reward is Sagemont. I'm gonna go ahead and, like I said, I like Coach Gamble's team. I like his defense, but Sagemont is just on a different level this year. You know, they came in a 2A and they're just, you know, busting down doors. So I like Sagemont in this.
I like Sagemont in this one as well. They played a pretty good schedule and played some tough teams throughout the way. So again, they're battle tested. The guy who's coaching there as well he's kind of been with Sagemont throughout the years when they were winning state championships too. So he understands that pedigree. So I would not be surprised again that Sagemont comes all the way out of here and makes it to Lakeland. But to start off, I'm going to go with Sagemont as well.
Yeah, I agree. I think they're the favorite coming out here. So now we're going to go to the 4-5 matchup. Lake Worth Christian came out of that district with Grandview, and a testament to them because, you know, just the name Grandview by itself should, you know, everyone was expecting them to take it. But, you know, Lake Worth Christian stepped up and won that and got the 4 seed. And they get a tough matchup. And I'm going to say this going into it, a lot of teams, like you said, may have won or lost, and they're getting some matchups. And we'll kind of see that as we go down the line that aren't favorable, I feel. So this is one that I think for a winner going against the Highlands Christian team, which, you know, over the past few years has had some pretty good talent. I like Highlands in this. Usually I'm always all PBC going for all the Palm Beach County teams, but Highlands, I think it may be a little bit too much this year for Lake Worth Christian.
I'm going to agree with you with that because I think Highlands actually been, for the last year or two, kind of been knocking on the doorsteps of getting here. And I know they've had some young talent throughout the years that was there. They actually, I remember in the 2000, like late 2010, like between 2007 or 8 or even 10, they had a kid over there named Andrew Smith who went to Liberty.
Wow.
And, you know, he was a 6'7" kid who could jump out the gym, and nobody kind of knew that they had a little talent there because they're right next to Deerfield Beach High School.
Right down the road.
So, you know, if anybody, you know, if you couldn't, like most of the time, if you couldn't play at Deerfield, but you're a good enough player, you might have been able to go over to Highlands and play and get better. You know what I mean? So, and Highlands has continued that kind of thing with taking a bunch of kids from the area a little bit and sprinkling some kids around there. And man, so I'm with you on that one. That wouldn't have been a matchup I would want to see as a guy.
Yeah, especially after winning.
Right. After winning a district again, now you get wrapped up with a 5 seed who could have potentially been a number 1 seed. Exactly.
So we agree on that. Now we're going to go down to the down south winner, which was True North. You know, I got a chance to go to that gym last year. It's out there in Kendall, off of the 826 out by Dadeland Mall. Very nice gym. It looks like a brand new school, but True North ended up winning that district, and they're going to play Sheridan Hills. And once again, I just think nothing a great matchup for a district winner. I'm going to go with Sheridan Hills.
I'm going to do the same thing, Alex, because I think Sheridan Hills has won 20 games this year.
Right.
You know, Sheridan Hills kind of traditionally never been in this situation, but I think with the last 2 years they been putting some things together and been able to win some games, and now they're here. You know, not to take away anything from True North Classical Academy, but you know, when you kind of hear these names, staples in basketball, you know what I mean? So, you know, Sheridan Hill's been able to win 20 games, even though they got a 6 seed here. Again, it goes back to one of those things where I think their schedule kind of dictates that, you know, they'll be tough to beat.
Right.
Especially
in the small schools, in the small schools.
So I'll go with Sheridan Hills here as well.
All right, good. And now we got Morningside Academy. Morningside Academy out of the Treasure Coast area. Very talented team. They beat Atlantic Christian in a close one, and well deserved. I think they won 20 games as well this year. But once again, they get a traditional team, Miami Christian. Miami Christians have to travel all the way up there to play. And he said last week, Miami Christian are one of the better shooters you've seen around this year.
Yes.
But I'm going to go with Morningside because I like their guard, DJ Lee. They got a younger guard as well, a freshman, I believe his name is Folds. And they got a couple, big kids that they have, athletic. And Derek said he liked their talent last week, even though he couldn't be on with us. But when he made his prediction, he said, hey, these guys are loaded. They got some talent. And I've seen them a little bit. So I'm going to go with Morningside, even though Miami Christian is the name.
Right. I'm going to piggyback off of you as well. I'm going to go with Morningside as well. They've kind of, I've seen them from afar. They've kind of been, doing their thing and winning games they should win and just kind of keeping the status quo right now with how their program has gone. Even though I know Miami Christian traditionally has been a powerhouse, and they do have one of the best shooters I've seen in the last couple of years down here in South Florida. The kid is clutch. But I don't know if that's going to be enough for them where Morningside has talent across the board.
Right. Okay, good, man. So 2A, man, we got you out of here first because we wanted to, last week we kind of getting up in time, so we had a lot of teams to cover, so we definitely wanted to get 2A some love and see. And like I said, this year is going to be the year where it should be wide open up to a certain extent, up until it gets to wherever you got to play Sagemont. It's wide open. But once it gets there, it's going to get tough. So now we're going to go into 3A, and we're going to start in Region 3. And this is one where one of those teams who was on the bubble, Newman, they lost to St. John Paul Academy. St. John Paul Academy ended up winning that district, which was a surprise, I think, because St. John has been playing a very tough schedule this year. They played Calvary. I think they played a lot of teams. They played St. Andrews, almost had St. Andrews beat in the regular season, ended up beating them in the championship game. They beat Kings Academy. So St. John, and they have a very talented couple kids on there. So St. John Paul ended up beating Newman in the district semi. Newman wasn't sure if they were going to get in, but they ended up getting in, and then they got to face Benjamin, who has been playing lights out of late ever since around Christmas time. When we saw them up in the Palm Beach holiday basketball classes of the Palm Beaches, they ended up beating Jupiter Christian, which is the second time in about a week or so to get the number 1 seed. And like I said, last week I was thinking I like Newman, and I still like them, but I like Benjamin's guards, and I like their guards. They got 3 guards that are very good. They got one coming off the bench. They got some good size. They got some shooters around, and a utility guy, Micah Mays, that just kind of gets it done. He's a football kid. A couple kids who play football and basketball. Like I said, I'm a Newman guy, but I just think that Benjamin, this may be their year. I'm gonna go with Benjamin.
I think I'm going to go with Benjamin as well. I think they just got a little bit too much for Newman. Although I do love the kid number 2 for Newman. What's his name again?
Maroof.
Yes, he's one of the smartest kids. He's one of the smartest kids I've seen down here for his size and for his ability, what he does handle the ball. He understands the tempo and flow of the game. But I don't know if they have enough to contrabat what Benjamin has with those guards and the shooting ability that they have. So, I'm going to go with Benjamin here on this one.
And I think it's going to be a good coaching matchup as well, because you're 2 very, very good coaches. And Brandon does a great job at scheming, and Coach Torres does as well. But I think balance-wise, I think it's going to be close. But playing at home, they had a really big crowd in their gym last week. Small school, but passionate. So yeah, I just it's going to be close. But I think Benjamin is going to get that. But I think it's going to be nip and tuck. And if Newman does end up winning it, then all bets are off. They can make a run.
Oh no, they definitely can. Again,
yeah.
I wouldn't put nothing past Andre Torres and his staff. Dre does a great job of making in-game adjustments. So again, this is going to be a battle of coaches on that sideline, and players are going to have to execute. Again, don't be shocked if Newman wins the game. Definitely not a shocker. I just think Benjamin, talent-wise, might have too much for them.
Right, and I agree. All right, cool. So we're going to go to another one of those matchups. Jupiter Christian loses a close one to Benjamin. They get the 5, and Holy Trinity, which is from the Treasure Coast area as well. They haven't been burning it up per se, but they get this monster, and Jupiter Christian is probably going to be chomping at the bit. I just don't like that matchup for Holy Trinity. Because Jupiter Christian obviously is this loaded with talent, disciplined team, great size. The shooting may not be their forte, but they rebound. Matthew James just blocks. I mean, he blocks everything around the basket, and his offensive game is getting good. I just think that Jupiter Christian right now, especially after the 2 losses to Benjamin, they're going to be ready, and I just like Jupiter Christian there.
I'm with you on that one. T. Harris has always done a great job wherever he's been. And if he got the talent, he's definitely going to develop it. And as you see, that's one of those matchups again. You lose a district championship, and wow, you get this one. So,
yeah, it's not easy.
I'm with you on this one. I'm going with Jupiter Christian as well.
Yeah, and it's it's just the way it works, but in a way, I think is also good, because let's say you are the weakest of the winners, right? If you're the weakest of the winners, then you can expect it. So if you're the
Correct.
weakest of the 4 winners, and that's something you can expect it. But my good thing is at least it's not 2 weak teams getting in, right? You're only going to get 1, and now you're going to have 7 other ones that make it competitive. So that's my thing on that one. Now we're going to go to. This is an interesting matchup here. This is John Carroll out of Port St. Lucie and St. John Paul. St. John Paul is hot right now. I didn't see them winning it. Much respect to them for doing it. They have a kid named Ricky Williams, who I believe that's his name. And then you have Kyle Edison. They have some young guards. They have a little bit of size. And the only thing I've been getting from everyone who plays them is that they play hard. I mean, these guys are into it. They play very hard, and they get to the basket. They're aggressive, and that in itself is going to win you games. John Carroll has been kind of flying under the radar. They're in Treasure Coast, so they're not really in Palm Beach, but they've been kind of looking for a little bit of respect around Palm Beach way. I'll tell John Carroll, hey, if you want that respect,
you got to win this game.
You got to win this game. So if you come out and you beat, one of the Palm Beach's better private school teams, John Carroll, then and they got some talent. Like I said, they got some really, really good talent on that team now. But their schedule, I don't think, was as difficult as St. John Paul. So now, hey, here's your chance right now to kind of make your statement and say, hey, we may be from the Treasure Coast, but we playing with these Palm Beach teams. And we're going to beat them. But I still like St. John Paul. Everything I've seen from them, I've watched a few of their huddle games and some highlights. And like I said, these guys, after baskets, these guys are pumped. They're in it. Their defense, and that kid Kyle Edison, he's just high energy, high motor, aggressive. Like, he'll try to dunk on you every play. He's just a solid player. He's only a junior. And they got some shooters on that team, some young guards. So I like them. But my challenge to John Paul is, hey, let's come out and let's make a statement here. This would be a perfect time.
Oh, no, I definitely agree with you. John Paul has proven to be scrappy and up for the challenge. So, I'm not going to go against that. If that, it's always better. Like, I when I talk to Lawton Williams, one of the things that Lawton always says every year is that I don't play for championships in October. I play for March. Right. So Pope John Paul has done, just that. Right. They've been able to play during the time when you need to be your best right now. And that's something I think that a lot of coaches, but also fans and players need to take into account. Don't be the big bad team in October and September. No. Yeah, when you win the fall championship, when you win the fall
like you said, you ain't rushing the quarter for a fall league game.
Yeah.
Or, talking. No. We do preseason stuff obviously because there's interest in it. Mm-hmm. But a preseason championship is not going to get you anywhere. You got to be able to, and I think that's just a lot of people who maybe don't understand the landscape. And it takes a little time to understand, but you assume just because a team is killing in the summer, that trans. No. There's a lot to it because there's crafty coaches. Hey, during the summer, they're developing. If they're really crafty, they're developing the kids that need to be developed. The kids who are, established, they're off doing something else. Mm-hmm. And then they come together, when the season starts. So I think there's just a little something for everyone to kind of understand. And that's a very good point. And I think in Palm Beach, I think we're starting to learn that a little better.
Yeah, you don't win state championships in October when you're playing these fall leagues. Now, what you do is you actually preparing yourself to win. Like if you're, you're preparing your off season, your conditioning, your strength conditioning training, and fall leagues. All these things do prepare you to make your run when you need to make runs. But when you're winning these fall league championships and stuff like that, there's nothing. I'm not going to say you can't celebrate it because you got to create that culture of winning, and maybe that is one of the starts for you with your program. But I've seen so many people going on social media and kind of, oh yeah, we're here, but you didn't even make it to districts. You know what I mean? And nobody remembers. Nobody remembers what you did in October. You know what I mean?
Well, I always like to shout out my boy Zach Scott. I remember he told me one time when he played in my fall league, they lost a couple games and. We were pounding our chests. And Zach was like, man, we ain't worried about no fall league. Come see us in March or September or February. That's when he had his Zach was a senior. He had Dudley. They had all these guys. Man, don't worry. We don't worry about that stuff now. Lo and behold, I think they won their second in a row, third in a row. And, that kind of taught me a little lesson just, looking in. Yeah, that's true. You got to be able to prepare. There's time to prepare, and then there's a time to be productive. So
absolutely,
everyone could take into account, no doubt.
Yep.
So good. So now we got the last one in Region 3. St. Andrews lost, and that game was an overtime that they lost to St. John Paul. So obviously it was a close game. And then they get Santa Fe out of Lakeland, Santa Fe Catholic. Santa Fe Catholic is a solid group, and they're always keeping tabs on what's going on down here, so they're not going to be surprised. And they played I saw them in the summer at the Kaiser Fall Summer League, and they've got some talent. I still like St. Andrews. They got some great shooters, size, dynamic little point guard, Brooklyn Vic. Big guy, Dylan Rogers, an under the radar junior. They have Charlie May, who's a senior. I think I like St. Andrews here.
Well, see, I think I'm going to go against this one. St. Andrews tradition again. Coach O'Connell has been, probably one of the most respected guys in Palm Beach, Dade, and Broward County. He's been coaching for a long time, has over 700 wins. But I just think when you travel in certain distances to go win,
right.
A lot of times it's tough. And, a school like Santa Fe Catholic up in those areas is going to be packed. The gym is going to be probably packed that night. And I'm going to give the home team here this home court advantage here, and I'm going to go with Santa Fe Catholic.
Yeah, that's a good point. And actually, this region 3A, for whatever reason, they do get a team every year. For a while, it was Tampa Catholic that St. Andrews or Oxbridge would have to go across the water or I guess the Lake to go. And that's weird. I mean, like that's where we talked about the region makeups. That's a weird one. I guess since it's 3A, there's not a lot of schools, but that's definitely something to take into account. They're gonna have to travel. They're gonna be in unfamiliar territory. But I still like St. Andrews, Andersonway, like I said, that junior or Steinway, who's that junior 6'6" shooter, athletic. He's had a great year. I think they're going to pull it out. It's not going to be easy. Like, I don't think any of these games are going to be easy, but this one in particular, especially going on the road, but I'm still going to go with St. Andrews here.
I know, got you.
All right, good. So now we're going to go Region 4. 3A still. Divine Savior ended up losing, and they get Westminster, so they're the 8, and they get Westminster Academy. Westminster Academy looks like they're hitting on all cylinders. I like them. I like them for a long run here. I like them to win this game. So I'm gonna take Westminster over
Divine Savior.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going with you. Westminster again. Aaron Wolof has done a hell of a job being there. Got a couple of state titles under his belt. Always produces Division I kids, not day in and day out, and even other levels of college kids as well. They have a tradition of winning, and it's going to probably stay the same. But Divine Saviors again is another little team that, if they shoot the ball well one night, boys, you're going to be in for a long night. They're similar to St. Brendan. They're similar to Baylin. They're similar to Terra. So, these guys, when they get collectively and start stroking it and start making it, it's going to be lights on fire.
Right.
Yeah,
and that's and like I said, these games right now, we talked about last week with, a little bit of win or go home, but now we're win or go home. So that extra added pressure is going to be another factor that people are going to have to take into account. Like I said, we're dealing with kids, not dealing with professionals.
Correct.
Anything can happen. So, no, that's definitely something to look out for. Yeah. The next one is the 5-4. You got Florida Christian at Westminster Christian. I'm going to go with I've been kind of sticking with Florida Christian. I thought they'd win the district. They didn't. But I'm going to go with Florida Christian here.
Same. I'm going to go with Florida Christian. Again, it's one of those matchups, man, that these guys could have been a 1 seed or a 2 seed.
Right.
Playing, and you get stuck with that. PJ Brown has done a hell of a job over there at Westminster Christian, and so does Jason Doan at Florida Christian as well. Both guys are young guys coming up in the game, and they're holding their teams accountable, and guys are playing defense and playing hard. I just think Florida Christian might have a little bit more talent than Westminster Christian this year, so I'm going to go with Florida Christian as well.
Okay, good. So next one we got Ransom Everglades at 7, Riviera Prep at 2. Still like Riviera Prep. I wasn't aware, but I was told that one of their players that maybe had transferred early off in the year went out of state. I think his name is Omar. So Riviera Prep is still strong, and I still like them, but maybe they're not as the top level they thought they'd be coming in. But I'm still gonna go with Riviera Prep here.
Yeah, I'm going the same thing. Riviera Prep with no questions asked.
Good. And then this next one, this is one I would love to be at right here. Somerset Prep 6 at Miami Country Day 3. I like Somerset Prep.
Somerset. This is not the one in North Lauderdale, is it?
Yeah, the Somerset Prep North Lauderdale. Yep.
Yeah, they're deep this year. They played a tremendous schedule. Miami Country Day does have a couple of kids who are very talented in certain respect. Last year they went to the dance, so they've kind of been building a tradition of trying to get there. They got a great program, but I think this year with Somerset Prep, they're deeper, and they're dealing with older kids. So right. You're dealing with a bunch of seniors who their drive is to gain respect, and I think throughout this season they've kind of got that. With the teams they played and who they beaten and who they actually lost maybe close games to. So I'm going to go with Somerset Prep as well.
Okay, good call. Good. All right, now we're moving right along. We are in 4A now. Hallandale gets in, but they get Calvary Christian. Calvary Christian went to battle with Northbrook Prep. They got that game. It was a great atmosphere. I looked on, I saw the pictures. I mean, that's like what we talked about. having these packed gyms and North Briar Prep is not the biggest gym in the world, but it was wall to wall people standing on the side, looked like a great atmosphere, close game. Hallandale is tough, but I think Calvary's is moving at a certain pace right now. That they got big plans. I think they're gonna take this one.
Nah, listen, Hallandale again. John Cattle has done a great job over there, kind of restoring some of their traditions that they have too. But this right here, this is a juggernaut. We're talking about a national team who can play for the national championship. We're talking about a team who went over to Mount Vernon and lost by 3 in overtime, and they probably should have won the game on a bad call. At the end of the day, Silk McSweeney has done a hell of a job bringing that team to the national, like I told you, the national forefront, but they're not getting that respect that they should get from all the national media, and including the local media. So,
right.
At the end of the day, I think this is one of the things where Silk and them kind of put a chip on their shoulder and say, man, nobody's giving us any respect here. We're going to have to go take it. So, yeah. I Calvary Christian should win this one.
Yep, I think we both agree on that. And then Killian beats St. Brendan. They get the 4. They reward North Briar Prep at number 5. I keep joking, like, hey, if Calvary's a national team, North Briar Prep can't be far behind because they look pretty good, especially against Calvary and all year. But that's a tough one for Killian. North Briar Prep has been playing well all year. I'm gonna go with them.
Listen, again, one of those things, man. Guy could have been the 1st seed, and boom, you're the 5th seed, and you're the 4th seed who won their district, and you're rewarded with this. Hey, we saw Calvary and North Briar Prep went down to the wire. Calvary ended up winning by a basket. I think it was a couple of seconds left on the possession. So, again, I think North Briar Prep's not going to overlook Killian, but they're looking for that roundup, that matchup. Let's go.
Yeah, we're gonna see it. We're gonna see it, and that's gonna be great. That's gonna be a semifinal. So, and that's the one that's true. Win or go home, and we're gonna see. That should be must see next Tuesday. Assuming which we both believe they'll get there.
Correct.
All right. Now St. Brendan, who lost to Killian, now they get the team who beat you, Mater Lakes. Mater Lakes, like I said, I saw them a couple times. I did see them in the summer. That's I guess when Coach Rodriguez got the job, and those guys look like they've been playing for him like 30 years.
Listen.
Hey, them boys was getting after it.
From what I've seen in everybody's district championship pictures, our game was just as crowded as everybody else, standing room only. And those are the atmospheres that I told Eric at the end of the game, man, I was proud of him. His daddy would be very proud of him, bringing a brand of basketball that he's playing. And Dade County, like I told you, Alex, until Dade County basketball gets back on the track on the national scene, then everybody else will respect South Florida basketball in its totality. With Mater Lakes and Eric Rodriguez, man, they have 8 guys that, from top to bottom, man, they're just tough, man. You have the kid Christian Campbell, who all these low majors or mid-major schools are looking for a guard, he's a big guard. He's about 6'4".
He's strong.
He's strong. He got a mid-range. He can take it to the basket, and he can shoot it. I was very impressed with that kid, man. Again,
one quick thing on him. I remember like back when he was in 9th grade, he was playing with breakdown at really that 9th grade year. And he was impressive then. And I'm like, man, I think at that point, I don't know if he was at I think he was at Edison or somewhere, one of the Miami schools, and then he transferred over. I've been following him. He's a very solid player. And
he transferred from Norland last year. He was at Norland.
Okay, yeah, okay.
So
gotcha, Norland, okay.
But again,
he's a tough kid, man.
Yeah, he's developed very well. He was one of their main he's just tough, man. Then you have Christian Reed on the blocks, the sophomore. 6'5" kid, and then you have Mike Bradley Jr., who just shoots the ball. He shoots the ball with no conscience. Those one of the things that kind of in my game, the kid knocks down 5 threes before halftime. It's over for me.
And the thing with him, he doesn't even hit the rim, man. His things are they're all net, net, never touched the rim. And he's a junior. He's a senior.
He's a junior. So again, any low major schools, again, I look at these schools sometimes, man. These low major schools or even high Division II schools. if you need a shooter, you need to go look at that kid Mike Bradley Jr. easily.
Right. No, that kid, yeah, he's been doing that for a minute, but yeah, he's impressive shooter. Yeah, so we're saying we go Mater Lakes here.
Yeah, I'm going Mater Lakes here. Again, but Juan Hernandez has done a hell of a job at St. Brendan. They're going to play a brand of basketball. If those guys get shooting, man, again, it's going to be a long night for anybody.
Right. But I think this is something I think this is one of the matchups. Like I said, Dade County basketball coming back. We're going to see a lot of these teams again and again, and that's what's great about it. A lot of they're young, got some young talent and talent coming up, so it's not going to be the first time that we see these teams, and I think that's definitely going to make for a lot of great games coming up.
Yep.
Good. So now we got University School, who we both thought would have an outside shot of winning that district. They lost to Gibbons, I think, like 15 or so. Now they get Gibbons again. Gibbons looks like they're coming together now at the right time. Got their football guys back. Playing a team back-to-back is tough, but when you get them by 15 or so, I'm pretty sure that you figured some stuff out. This time around, I'm going to go with Gibbons.
Yeah, I'll go with Gibbons, but it's gonna be a little closer than before, man. You know what I mean? When you play a team a couple of times, there's always that notion where you start to get to know the team a little bit. They'll know everybody's plays. It comes down to execution. I think Gibbons got the upper hand on this one.
Yeah, and I think that plays what's gonna play out here. Good. So now we're moving right along. We're in 5A now. Stranahan took a close one over Suncoast. So they get the 1 seed. Ogali out of, I believe that's the Treasure Coast area, maybe like Palm Bay area, has to come all the way down to Stranahan. I don't know much about Ogali, but going into Stranahan, y'all better be ready. I don't see that happening at all. I like Stranahan. I'm
with you on that one. Stranahan's been, for the last, maybe been about 4 years now, they've been the toughest thing out of that class, kind of. They've won 1 or 2, I think, out of here. They won 2
back to back, and they didn't get it last year though.
Yeah, so hey, you got to go with what you know, and I'm definitely going to go with Stranahan here in this situation.
Yeah, man, we got this next one. This one, I would love to see live, because Suncoast gave Stranahan all them problems without Nate Sasser. Nate Sasser didn't play that game against Stranahan.
Okay.
If he's back with Stone, Guro, and Ian and their guards, the guards they have, Berlin is super tough, like we talked about. Man, this one is a pick 'em. But if Suncoast is at full strength, I think these guys are maturing game in, game out. Stone is really, really tough. The type of kid who gets to the line, plays great defense. He's a game changer. They have 2 or 3 on that team. I'm going to go with the home team, Suncoast, for this one.
I'm going to go with Suncoast as well. But again, coaching, and this guy's upset Northwestern in that district championship, because I don't think anybody outside of those guys would have believed that they would win that game.
Right.
Again, if these guys, if the ball is falling, man, it's going to be a long night. But I'm going to give Jason Powell and his staff, they are very talented at Suncoast. So, they've played a pretty good schedule as well. And I know Chachi's played a tremendous schedule as well, because he's always looking for games, and people kind of were dropping games on him this year, and he was trying to find games. So when you look at it, both of these teams are kind of rolling at the right time. But I just think that Suncoast, because of their depth and talent, you got to go with that a little bit more.
Agree. One thing I'll say that I kind of made this up throughout the year, I'm like, as a team, as a coach, you want to be good. You just don't want to be good enough that people don't want to play you. Because that's right. That's what's going on now. Teams get good, and then once they get too good, people don't want to play you no more. So you want to be good, but just not that good where people don't want to play you. And I think Berlin, because I remember when we were trying to find games for them, it's like, who you want? Who's like, we full. What do you mean you full?
Exactly.
You wasn't full when you asked me.
Yo, listen, I was talking to Chachi for about 2 weeks straight, almost every day. And he's like, dude, the guys are dropping games. I'm trying to get games. I'm like, well, Chops, I know people who are looking for games. And then when he would call him, he's like, yeah, they say don't. I'm like, oh, I just found out. Wow, okay, well, you know what?
Yeah,
Don't worry about it, Chacha. You're gonna do what you need to do anyway.
And that's good. I'm glad that they rewarded. Another funny thing interesting about that, because last year was flipped. Last year we thought Berlin was going to beat Northwestern and Northwestern beat Berlin. So that's an interesting flip where Berlin got Northwestern that district championship. That's very interesting. So we're going now. Okeechobee coaching change this year. I don't think many people thought that they would be in this spot, regionals, but they made it. I think they ended up being 21-5. But they get Miami Norland, like Okeechobee, and Okeechobee's the type of team, and we've been doing this a couple of years. When you pick against Okeechobee, that's all they need. That's what they need. That's their rallying cry. That was under Coach Riles. I don't know if they still keep that. I don't know how in tune they are, but this is going to be too much. I feel they going up to Norland. I like Norland here.
Lakeland, like I told you earlier in the cast, Alex, Coach Lawton Williams tells me, hey, I don't play in October for championships. I play in March.
Right.
And this is one of the things, finally getting some pieces back. They actually got Cameron Johnson, who's been hurt all season, who finally comes back with them. And he's kind of been treading in the waters a little bit in game to game. He's been back, I think, 2 or 3 games so far. So, he adds another dimension to them that, kind of it's going to be very hard to guard Marcus Allen, doubling him, and if you leave Cameron Johnson open, you're gonna have a problem as well. So he's getting his feet back, and then the other thing is that Lawton Williams probably has lost 10 or 12 games at Norland throughout the season or playoffs, and I know Gibbons has 2 of those wins, and there's a lot of other people that don't have it. So
right.
Okeechobee's gonna take a long ride down, and unfortunately, I think they're gonna go back up with a loss.
Right. And Cameron Johnson, you said that Zach Johnson's
that's Zach Johnson's cousin.
Okay. So good pedigree. Yeah, I think we agree on that. And Norland, like I said, they've been doing their thing. So so we're gonna move on. Rockledge ended up coming out up north. Miami Northwestern lost to Berlin. Rockledge, had some great talent over the years. Remember, Elijah Weaver was out of there a few years back.
Yep.
I got to go with Miami Northwestern. That press that they got the guards. I'm gonna go with Miami Northwestern here.
I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
I never bet against Lawton Williams and Melvin Randall when they get to Lakeland, because they have they usually win. They usually do what they have to do to get there and win it. This one here is going to be a tough one for Rockledge. Yeah, Northwestern has to travel, but that's okay. Melvin's been in those situations before. He has a roster that I really like. Like he has a kid named Kamari Austin, who's about 6'5" and who can stroke the ball. But he also has a point guard that I really like, named Jamie Hager. And Jamie Hager's tough, man. The kid can drive, pass, shoot it, mid-range. He can score on all 3 levels. He understands how to dictate the game, and he plays defense. So they're a tough group. And there's going to be added motivation for them as well. To go down there and to win. And again, I just think that Melvin Randall pedigree and his staff is going to do the job for Northwestern.
Yeah, I agree. And, like I said, Rockledge, traditionally they get players, but this one is, like I said, the way that this one plays out, it's a huge district. Huge region. And I guess that's why they call it a region, right? They don't call it a city or whatever region. So we got a big region, but yeah, I think Northwestern is going to make that. Now we go to what I feel, like I said, I haven't looked at all the Orlando regions. I think this region 4 to say, is the toughest region in the state. But I know that there's some upsets up in Orlando. But the teams that are in this region, I feel, are some of the best teams in the state. So Boyd Anderson gets in. They're a bubble team. They get in, but they got to play Pines Charter. Pines Charter, like I said, is just, to me, they're probably the number one team in South Florida. I'm talking about over everyone, whether it be Columbus, Westminster Academy, I don't care who it is. I think they are the top team in South Florida right now, and I like them.
Yeah, they're tough, man. They've kept the group. They've kept a bunch of kids together. They've been able to get some kids to transfer in. Historically, they've been able to do that since David Roca's era over there. So, with winning the state championship and being, they've won the Big 8 twice down here, which is a big thing for anybody that knows Broward County basketball. You win the Big 8, normally it sets you on the road to go win a state title. And traditionally it's been Dillard, Ely, or BA that normally wins it, and they go ahead and win the state title. But in this instance, for the last 3 or 4 years, man, Pines Charter has dominated the scene up here with how they've been playing and what they've been able to do. And I don't see BA coming close to them at all in this situation.
Yeah, it's tough for BA, but when you're an 8 seed, I mean, you're not gonna get an easy matchup.
Correct.
So next, St. Thomas lost to Pines Charter. They get Mater Academy. This one is a very good game. Toss up. I like St. Thomas, but I think this one's gonna be close and it could go either way. But I'm gonna go with St. Thomas.
I'm going to go with St. Thomas on this one just because of the mere fact that Mater Academy is young. They got 2 8th graders that are very good, and I think they got a bunch of other kids, 9th and 10th graders as well, that are good. So I'm gonna chalk this one up to more of an experience than anything, because I think Mater Academy is going to be something to be reckoned with in the next couple of years with the young guys that they have over there. I just don't know if they have enough right now as young guys to beat St. Thomas in this type of environment.
Right, yeah. So we agreed there. Next up, like I said, this is a tough region. Dillard number 7 at Martin County number 2. Dillard ended Martin County season last year. At that time, Martin County was undefeated. I know Martin County doesn't forget stuff. They pretty much bring everyone back from last year's team except for one player, and they replace that player with a monster named Elijah Duval, Trey Duval's brother. Trayvon Duval's brother. He didn't play against Dwyer. I'm not sure he's going to play in this game, but if he does, Martin County's tough to deal with, and I'm sure they're going to be remembering getting sent home last year by Dillard. I like Martin County here.
I like Martin County here as well. Dillard's kind of been, again, when Coach Barrow stepped down, a lot of people kind of figured out who would take over, and I always thought that Mike Hardy was definitely the guy that they should have given the job to, because of the fact that he's young, he's innovative, and he's a worker.
Right.
He's a product of their community as well, and kind of let the young fella do his thing. He's going to be okay in the long run, and the state championships will come later on. I know a lot of the people in the community are looking for him to win state championships right now, but it doesn't happen until he puts his imprint on this program the way he needs to. So, their administration needs to be patient with him, because again, he's a young guy. So, but I don't doubt that they won't be back in these games in the near future at all. But I just think Martin County has too much.
Yeah, I agree. And there's Coach Hardy. I mean, look what he did down at Western. I mean, there should be no, and like they're gonna be in these games a lot. First year, a lot of young talent. But yeah, Martin County's just, I think they're on a mission. And like I said, they win with their top players and without their top players. Coach Leon, 98 games he's won in 5 years in our area. That's one of the tops in our area. I was just doing a little research and did the top coaches. He was at 97, got his 98. So Martin County is going to be tough to beat. And then the guy who's 99, who he beat, Dwyer's up next. They got to go down to North Miami. I know North Miami's been playing great, but Dwyer is a tough matchup for anybody. I like Dwyer. I just like their defensive intensity. I just like their swagger. They play hard. They rebound. Got shooters. They got guards. Kyle McNeil, Blake Wilson. Blake Wilson's been a high-level shooter for them this year. Kyle McNeil really does a good job of getting to his mid-range shot. Juwan Dawes is not a big per se. Maybe about 6'4", 6'5", but he plays big. He plays where they tell him to play. He does what he needs to do. They got a kid named Nelson, just quick with the ball, up and down. They got kids all over, and they're not a lot of seniors either. There's mostly juniors, sophomores, so they're not going anywhere. But I think they're still a little bit too much for North Miami.
Yeah, Dwyer's going to be too much. Again, it's one of those situations. You lose that. This is a potential first round.
Yep.
First seed or second seed in this thing. And North Miami had a hell of a game with MacArthur, down to the wire buzzer beater. But this one's going to be a little bit different because Dwyer has size all across the board. Like you said, a lot of the kids are the same type of size and same type of players, which kind of makes it difficult when you're scouting teams or guarding teams. So I look for Fred Ross to pull off something here and win it. North Miami's going to be rowdy. It's going to be packed, but Dwyer's just going to have too much for them.
Yeah, and Dwyer's not. Those things don't intimidate the kids from Dwyer. Them boys, they're used to that. That's why they play at Dwyer. Every place they go is going to be they're going to get the team's best shot. They play at Wellington, they play at Lakes, play at Sun, wherever they go. It's going to be difficult. So, North Miami is a tough place to play, but Dwyer I think is ready for them. Mm-hmm. So now, man, we're going to get to these big boys, 7A. Start in Region 3, 7A. Forest Hill, a true bubble team, gets in by maybe a percentage point and a half over, I think, Deerfield or Stoneman Douglas, one of those two. They get Centennial because Centennial gets the number 1 seed because Lake Worth loses to Wellington in the district championship.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about matchups. Normally, I'm telling you, I'm like, okay, man, I feel bad for, this is going to be Forest Hill matches up well with Centennial because their style of play, fast pace, a lot of pressure, but Centennial's very athletic, got some really good guards. This game could be high scoring. It's going to be fast. But if I'm Centennial, I'm thinking I get the 1 seed and I got to play Forest Hill. That's not something I want to do. And this one could be, I wouldn't call it an upset because, they're not, I don't consider anything an upset when you have teams that are traditionally really good playing other teams. There's no such thing as an upset. Maybe just in seeding, but, it's another one of those games where, hey, we get the number 1 seed and this is who we got to play. That's a tough one. I'm gonna go with Forest Hill here.
I'm with you, Alex. I look at this as I'm Centennial. I know I had a great season, but man, Forest Hill traditionally has been good, tough, and it's always been one of those things. And I don't think it's going to bother them to go up the road to play. So I look for Coach Watson and them to do something here.
Yeah, and it's true. When we did our list, I got a ton. Watson was right up there. Matt Colon had 109. Now he's got 110. Watson had 106, and right behind him, over 100 wins in 5 years. Shoot, that they know what they're doing there. So it's gonna be good. I'm not saying Centennial is gonna lose, but it's just something where it's just this is a tough matchup for if you're a 1 seed. I don't think that's something that they're expecting coming in as a 1.
Right.
So yeah, that should be a very, very good game. I'll be there, and I'm expecting that to be. I'm sure Centennial's going to be jacked up. I think this is their first district title in maybe 10, 15 years, maybe longer. So good. But then we go now since Lake Worth loses, they get the 5. And then they got to go to Coral Springs. Coral Springs ended their season last year. You talk about matchups. On the flip side, this is a tough matchup for Lake Worth. not saying that they're not going to win, but, man, Barta, Coral Springs, Barta playing against Palm Beach teams. He's very successful playing against Palm Beach teams because he's in tune with what we do up here. This is a tough one from Lake Worth out the gate in a winner go home situation at Coral Springs. I still like Lake Worth to win, but man, this is just I don't like this matchup at all for them. I still think they're going to come out, but this is going to be a very, very, very tough game, especially that with the fact that Coral Springs beat them last year. This is going to be tough.
Well, I'm going to go with Coral Springs. I'm going to go with Coral Springs just because of several factors. Devin Barta's been here before. He understands these. Remember, he beat Wellington.
Right. Yep. Like I said, he's worked. He's done a good job against Palm Beach County.
Remember, he also won a state title.
Yep.
So I'm going to give it to him. And I know Derek and them are seasoned, and they have a lot of talent. And Coach Baxley is very good at what he does. But I'm just going to give Coral Springs the edge because I think once they get into the playoffs, it's a whole nother. The records go out the door. You're 0-0.
Right. See, and like I said, the matchup in itself, because I think Coral Springs is, good thing what I'll say about Lake Worth is they can play any style, right? So they can play the fast style, they can play slow down style, with their guard, Calvin, they call him Bobo Sherman. I mean, he played like last week. That's probably one of the best games I've ever seen a guard play. He's a smaller guard, but quick, under control, getting to his mid-range, knocking him down, running his team, passing. He's truly one of the best players in South Florida, and probably a handful of people know who he is outside of Lake Worth, right? But he's a great player. You got Marvin Golf, who's also a junior. So these guys have been playing well. I still think they pull it out because they're tough kids. They played big games before. They've been playing big games for a long time. But it's just one of those matchups, man. You think after all that work you put in, that you would get something. You wouldn't get a Coral Springs out the door. And then Coral Springs on the flip side, hey, for them, I think it's a great advantage because they knew that pretty much they had to win to get in almost, right? Because only one team came out of that district, and they're the only one.
Right.
So when they got to that championship game, it's like, hey, we got to beat Boca, and they beat them, right? But they had a close one with Deerfield, and once they got that Deerfield game, like, hey, we just need one more and we're in. So for them, this is gravy. Like, hey, we in now. Let's see how far we can go. So
absolutely.
So this one's gonna be one that, man, like I said, I just wish that they weren't all on the same day because there's about 5 or 6 of these I'd just like to see in person. But yeah, this one's going to be bad. And there's a lot on the line, especially after, Coral Springs beat them last year and Barta's history with Palm Beach County teams. I'd have to go through, but I don't know if he's lost to one, especially in the playoffs. I think they lost to Dwyer. Obviously, they lost to Dwyer in the championship last year. But outside of that, they've been pretty good against Palm Beach County teams.
Yes, they have.
Yeah, so, okay, that's a good one there. So now we got Fort Pierce Central, who got a 7 seed based on their strength. And they ended up winning 20 games. They went to, and I think that was one of the ones that was a surprise because no one was sure 7-8 who was going to get it. It was like Fort Pierce Central, Forest Hill, Deerfield, Stoneman Douglas. No one was sure who was going to get it. Fort Pierce got that because they had 20 wins. They made it to the championship game. They got to go up to Osceola. Even though Osceola's district wasn't tough, but they're an Orlando team. They play a lot of those Orlando teams. They play Oak Ridge. They play all those guys. So just because they happen to be in a weak district doesn't mean that team is weak. They've gone to battle with a lot of those top Orlando teams. Fort Pierce Central has 2 very, very young guards who could shoot it. But Osceola, I like them here.
All right, it's interesting. I actually like Central here.
Okay.
I like Central here. I think Central's going to keep up with what they've been doing all season. And I see them could probably just because Osceola traditionally has played pretty good, and I think Osceola probably, when they won state a couple of years ago.
I think it was 2017.
Yeah, they won it maybe like 5 years ago or something like that.
Yeah, I think because I think Lakes was up there that year.
So I think just looking at it, they haven't, even though they've done well on the road, like Osceola's 6-1 on the road, and Central's 2-3 at home. I'm gonna give Central the advantage here.
Okay, all right. So we'll take that. We'll book that one in. That should be one that should be we'll see how that one plays out. Then we got Palm Beach Central and Wellington. Wellington handled them pretty easily last time out. I don't think this game will be the same, but Wellington, Colin has 110 wins, 5 years. He's close now to getting back to state. Palm Beach Central's had a great year, but they haven't played the type of teams that Wellington has. And it just didn't look good for them last week. I'm sure they're going to try to shore some stuff up. I think they were missing a player for a little bit of time, one of their guards. If he plays the whole game, it could be different. I wouldn't be surprised if they give him a game, but Wellington right now looks to be in all cylinders. I'm going to go with Wellington.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Wellington, man. Matt Collin and staff, they've been money most of the time across the board winning the playoffs, and I think it continues with no problem.
Yeah, so we're there. Good. Now we're going to wrap it up down in Miami. 4-7A, Region 4-7A. Columbus came out of there. I don't think we foresee them having any problem with Flanagan. We got Columbus here, right?
Yep.
Yeah, Columbus is good there. Next up, Miami High, West Broward. West Broward surprised a lot of people, I feel, this year. They won that district, only team to come out of there. But Miami High is in the same district with Columbus. I think Miami High should get this one.
Yeah, Miami High, even though they got to travel up to West Broward, Miami High should get it. But don't be surprised, again, Coach Benavenia has been a guy who traditionally does some pretty good things down here in South Florida with the teams that he has. They normally play pretty hard and tough. This is the first group that he had at West Broward that's been talented enough to make it here. But probably going to win this one in an easy fashion.
Yeah, I can see that. But West Broward definitely has had a great year. Cypress Bay, Coral Gables. I thought last year was Coral Gables' year. It didn't end up being, but this year seems like it's Cypress Bay's year. So far, so good. They've been very impressive. I like Cypress Bay.
I'll tell you what, Cypress Bay should win this one. Gables has a first-year coach in young Armand Shoon, who's done a pretty good job there now with those kids and getting them back under his first year being there. But like you said, I think this is Cypress Bay's year all the way, man. Noah Alvarez and Kevin and Maxwell have been, golly, they might be the three best guards collectively in South Florida altogether, outside of Silk and outside of Calvary's and North Broward Preps teams. Those three kids understand basketball, know how to play basketball, and understand what they're supposed to do as teammates.
Yeah, they're high level, and like we talked about last week, any college coaches that is not out there in Weston, y'all don't want to win.
Yeah, trust me, I have a top 10 sleepers list that I'm going to probably drop this week, and trust me, if nobody's recruiting these kids in South Florida, you're not doing your job as a college coach, and I'm going to say that right now. I'm going to make that statement. It's insane to me that these kids have not gotten the looks that they have, and I know everybody's going to say travel ball, this, that, and the third, but in a way, we have to get it where high school basketball comes back and matters in that situation where people come back and recruit high school.
Right. And before we wrap it up, is one thing that everyone has their ideas on travel high school, but I think high school plays a key point. I think one thing that's good about high school is the fact that you get to see how they operate in controlled environments, right?
Mm-hmm.
School, grades, a certain level of discipline, then pressure. You can't tell me there's not pressure in high school when you got to go into, how many AAU games or travel games did you go in where there's a packed gym? rarely ever. I mean, I don't even think I've seen one where there's been a really, really big crowd. Like, you may see like a DS, there'll be people around or whatever. But coming into these packed gyms, going into do or die situations where if you lose, you're done. You know, these are things that build. This is where you can tell if a player can really play. And I think that the fact that a lot of college coaches don't. I mean, it's difficult as during the season. We can make all the excuses, but you got to value the high school experience, especially when they're competitive teams. You know, talk about South Florida that has been very good producing college athletes and on a basketball level. And then you also make them want a football player who plays, you know, basketball, you know, so you're always going to have athletes on the floor. You'll be able to judge if this kid can do X, Y, Z. You know, they gotta do a better job of recruiting a high school. They have to. And I'm talking, you know, D2s. And I think the local schools do a great job. I mean, I'm not going to go into UM because obviously that's a different situation. But, you know, all the D2s here, they're always out. You know, but I would love to see other high-level schools come into Florida during the season and watch these guys play.
Oh, absolutely, man. Because, again, at the end of the day, a lot of these kids, especially in Dade County, they don't have the transportation to get to some of these elite teams that play. I can even tell you, like right now, there's a 6'8" kid at Killian that nobody knows about. You know, there's a kid down at Miami Christian, a 6'4" shooter nobody knows about. You know, and sometimes it's not their fault. It's just that their environments don't allow them to get to these places to make these teams. Right. You know, and when it comes to traveling, making these expenses, man, you got to think about it. If I'm out of Dade County, for me to get to wherever I got to get to, I'm driving
Orlando.
I'm driving from the southernmost point and down here to get to anywhere else. So, you know, it's just tough, man. It's very tough in that regard. But again, I also think that college coaches, you know, if you hear a guy say, "Hey, man, there's a kid that you need to take a look at," I honestly believe you need to take a look at him.
Right.
Especially when it comes from reputable sources. You know what I mean? It's not like guys are trying to put you in a situation where you're going to lose your jobs, but you got to make sure that you know all the names on the street so you can actually make a real evaluation of whatever kid you need to make an evaluation of.
Yeah, that's true, man. And I like what you're doing with the list you put out, and we work together because I do that every spring. I send out a list. So let's wrap this up here with Doral and Palmetto. I like Palmetto. I like them. Doral's had a very good year. I'm gonna go with Palmetto here to wrap it up.
I'm gonna go Palmetto here as well. You know, Doral, the last couple of years have been a staple on defense and everything else. I just think Palmetto has too much talent for him this year. Right.
Hey, man, so we went through this pretty quick, and I think we got some really good games coming up. I appreciate you being on. Any last words before we get out of here?
Hey, man, I just want everybody to know that everybody needs to support high school basketball, and we need to pack these gyms for these kids and these coaches to give them that playoff atmosphere in every way possible.
I agree, and you know, get to these games, get to one near you. You know, if it's a close one next to you, go to that one. You don't need to go to the one everyone else is going to. You're going to see good games all across the board. This is a great time of year. We got about a week and a half left of high school basketball down here. Let's get out. Let's watch some basketball. Let's encourage these kids and the players. Hey, if you're listening, you know, do your best, man. This is it for a lot of you. This may be your last chance to even play, you know, at the high school level.
Yep.
Or any level at all. So, you know, I think that mindset is something that for them, they need to really understand, because when you're young, you don't understand a lot of this stuff. But I think one thing I will say, just talking to a lot of these teams who thought they were out, you know, that's why I think a lot of these teams who maybe got a little disappointment and then were able to get a second chance, I think those are the teams you're going to have to watch out for, because they, you know, their seasons were done, you know, and then they get a second chance. You know, I think you're going to see, even though they're in an 8 seed or a 7 seed, you know, or in a situation, you're going to see a different fire coming from a lot of these guys who maybe thought they weren't going to get in. And I think that's going to be good for the overall game. So, It's been good, man, talking to you. Like I said, we're going to switch it up. We're going to do some stuff a little different down, in a couple weeks. So let's keep it going, man.
No doubt, Alex. Again, I appreciate you always reaching out, and we're going to keep this as a tradition from this point on, from last. Hey, everybody, make sure y'all follow both of us, PBCHOOPS and then RMF Magazine. Follow us on all social media platforms. Again, we're trying to bring South Florida basketball back in the light. We'll do a better job of doing what we need to do, and you guys do a better job of doing what you guys need to do.
Facts, man. Appreciate it, man. All right, man. Good talking to you.
All right, Alex. Take it easy, man.